Welcome to the Event Connection, where we explore the stories, trends, and unforgettable moments that are shaping our industry. We'll uncover the human side of events and celebrate the power of engagement and connection, all while having a little fun. This podcast is produced by PC NameTag.
We're back on the Event Connection. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to talk about incentive travel today. And I met this amazing lady named Tina Husemoller, and she is the VP of Meetings and Incentives at Fox World Travel. And I think she's going to be an amazing person to tell us all about what's trending for the year, as well as how incentive travel has changed and some fun facts or fun strategies that you can implement into your strategy this year. So welcome, Tina.
Thank you, Megan. It's so nice to be with you.
Thank you so much. I would love to learn a little bit more about you and how you got started in the events industry. You have a very awesome track record in the industry. I'd love to hear more about it.
Thank you. Well, back about 100 years ago, I started out as a travel agent on site at a company in Austin, Minnesota, moved into sales and account management, all on the business travel side of the house. I came to Fox about 7.5 years ago and started out as a client solutions manager in business travel, and then went on to be director of client solutions. I have been in this role for a little over 3 years. Absolutely love the incentive side of the business. It's exciting. Every day is different. It's just absolutely wonderful.
That's one thing I love about the events industry. I feel like no day is the same, but that keeps it fun.
Absolutely.
I would love to know, do you have a fun fact about yourself or an interesting fact you'd like to share with our listeners?
Have a really fun fact.
Yes.
I am an avid golfer. So when I say that, it doesn't mean I'm any good at it, but I will say that I have had a hole-in-one before.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah, on my 30th birthday weekend. So it was definitely a celebration. What I didn't realize was that when you get a hole-in-one, you have to buy everybody in the bar a cocktail. I thought everyone was going to buy me a beer or something, but it doesn't work that way. But it was really fun.
Well, kudos to you, because I can only do mini golf. So if you got a hole-in-one, that's actually really impressive. Well, now we know.
Thank you.
There's always something with golf etiquette. So you taught me something new today, because I didn't know that either. But maybe I'll be avoiding my non-existent hole-in-ones in the future. All right. I thought maybe we can just dive right into it. So
That sounds great.
let's think about incentive travel. What do you feel will be some of the things that will be trending in incentive travel this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're seeing trending is kind of the how people are looking at incentive trips today. So in the past, even coming out of COVID, organizations were really looking at the return on investment. Now it's more return on experience. So I think that's where it's trending. It's important to recognize top performers. And these top performers are really hungry for experiences. So that's what we're seeing as the trend. And that's exciting to us because that's what we do is we plan experiences, right?
That's so exciting. I would love to pick your brain on how you feel about return on experience. That's something that I've been learning a little bit more about. In the past, it was all about, data, which is still important. But I love that we're putting more focus on thinking about how the attendees feel and what emotions do we want them to have during the trip and what are those memories that we want them to hold on to after the trip. So do you feel like this is a good thing that we could take into incentive travel going forward?
Absolutely. Travel is very emotional anyway, right? Like people travel to see the world. They travel to take in the smells and the sounds and the sights of all the different destinations. So travel's very emotional. I would say that the biggest thing with the return on investment that we're hearing from our attendees when we survey them is they've enjoyed spending time with leadership.
I love that.
FaceTime with those senior leaders and the executives and the CEO or the owner of the company. They just value that so much. So that is absolutely important. And then, it's just cash is forgotten, right? And
Hmm.
experiences are not. And we have five different generations in the workforce right now. And everybody is still coming out of COVID very, very hungry to travel. They're very passionate about it. And having these experiences that they may not be able to either do on their own without this incentive trip is just something that we're just over the moon with. So I love that it's moving towards ROE instead of ROI.
You were mentioning demographics. So we have so many different age groups of people that we might be having on incentive travel trips. So I wanted to dive into that a little bit more. Do you, first, let's talk about how do you evaluate the different types of activities you might want to do on an incentive travel trip if there's, different age groups of people that you might be catering to?
Yeah, I love that question. We work closely with the customer, just really understanding who are the attendees and what are their desires. Making sure that there is enough opportunity for everybody so that everybody has an option to choose from, whether it be something super adventurous or whether it be just a day at leisure. And a lot of people are looking for that free time. We are baking that into our itineraries. It is so, so important for them just to gather around the pool and collaborate with their colleagues that they maybe are meeting for the first time or seeing again after the last year incentive trip or whatnot. So making sure that there is something for everybody. There is not an activity that's a one size fits all. It really needs to be customized to that group.
I love having that element of choice. That's another trend that I'm hearing is kind of having a menu of different things that people can choose from. Some people might feel more fulfilled by going on a high energy city tour, whereas some people might want to stay in and do a tasting of some sort. So I love having that element of choice. Do you have any other recommendations of how planners can incorporate more elements of choice in incentive travel trips?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a big uptick in wellness as well. So any yoga activities in the morning to kick off their morning, spa activities, that's always a big one. We manage spa appointments for our attendees, and those are usually the first appointments to get booked up or the first
Definitely.
activities. Yeah, yeah. And then I would say having two different activities, like half day, these full day ones are really not as impactful to the attendees as much
Hmm.
anymore. So they'd rather have like two half day activities. So maybe something super adventurous the first day, and then the second day is more relaxing, and I'm going to go to the spa and relax my muscles from my adventure.
I feel like I would definitely do something like that. Maybe in the beginning of the day, I want something upbeat and then I want something a little bit more relaxing in the evening. Or, like you said, maybe one day is more high energy and the next day is a little bit more relaxing. I would definitely be hitting up the spa. I know for sure I would love that if I was on a trip like that.
Absolutely. And that is, again, something that maybe they don't pamper themselves with. So when it is, here's your spa credit, go enjoy yourself, sign me up. I'm there.
Everyone has a different definition of how they view relaxation. So I love that we chatted a little bit about that. I'd also love to pick your brain on going back to generations. Do you feel like there might be a difference between what younger generations, maybe like Gen Z, wants to get out of, you know, incentive trips or maybe some older generations? Do you feel like there's a divide? Like, for example, one thing that I heard is maybe Gen Z prioritizes bleisure, that's business leisure. So maybe they want to go on the trip and have a little fun, but maybe they want to pop on their laptops and do a little bit of work while you're
Hmm.
there. While some, generations might want to completely, get offline during their trip.
Hmm.
Are you seeing any differences like that?
Yes, for sure. Again, that's not a one size fits all either. You definitely have the different generations and how they approach the trip. I would say that the older generation is absolutely in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are taking it all in. They probably are very well traveled, but they're still at that stage where they're like, I am going to unplug and I am going to take in every single second. The Gen Zs are very similar, but to your point, they're flipping through their phone, right? And they're
Yep,
checking,
definitely.
probably responding to emails, but they are absolutely present as well. We are more and more, and this has always typically been the case, but more and more having a lot of pre and post. So what that means is the attendees are coming in early, or they're extending their trip and staying longer so that they can go and sometimes move to a different property and experience another property and the service there, or pop over to a different island and return out of that destination.
Mm.
They are absolutely wanting to get the most out of that trip.
I went on a work trip to California last year, and I went a few days early just so I could check out the city. So I love that people are taking advantage of that more often.
Yeah, absolutely. And they should. I mean, a lot of the times when we're traveling for business, we go to a destination and we don't even step outside of the ballroom, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
if we are seeing the world, we need to actually see the world and experience it. So, that's a big, big item for Gen Z.
Speaking of locations, I'm
Mm.
curious if you have some trending places that might be on event planners' radar. I'm hearing a lot of maybe like second tier cities are getting a little bit more popular, or maybe domestic cities. Maybe these are things that we haven't really considered in the past, but I know some people, it's like, I've been to that place so many times. I just want something different. I want to be wowed.
Mhm.
What are you
Mhm.
seeing as far as destinations?
Yeah, that's a really great question too. And it really kind of depends on if it's like a meeting or an incentive. So I know this is incentive talk, but I'm just going to really throw in something on the meeting side, which is probably going to be beneficial to some planners too. Definitely an uptick in domestic destinations that aren't your typical. So it's not Vegas. It's we're doing a big group to Charlotte, and they're doing a race car experience. So
Ooh,
things like that. And that's a meeting, but it gets them out of the boardroom, right? Um, with incentive travel, we are definitely feeling more demand for Europe, and I love that. Specifically, Portugal is big on the radar.
mm.
So we're getting a lot of that in Ireland.
Ooh, I would love the Ireland. That'd be so much
Oh,
fun.
bucket list for sure. Um, I shouldn't say bucket list because I'm actually going to Dublin in a few weeks,
Fun.
but
Cool. You'll have to let us know how it goes.
absolutely. But yeah, Europe is on the radar, so that's really exciting. And then we always have the Caribbean all-inclusive, the Mexico all-inclusive, things like that. But we're getting more and more demand for Curacao or some of the smaller
Mm.
outlying islands in the Caribbean, which is really exciting. And we always like to just throw in a wild card too. So if we have a customer that says, we want Mexico, we'll throw in a wild card like Curacao or Portugal or something just to get the feelers out there. So that's helping as well.
I love that we're getting a little bit more creative with where we go as far as destinations. So I love that, nothing's really off limits. You can have a lot of fun with it.
Right, absolutely. The rinse and repeat, those are all fantastic and great, but I really truly believe that it is about the experience and seeing a new destination and immersing yourself in a different culture that you likely wouldn't have done without this incentive trip. So I go back to like Portugal, and a lot of people,
Fun.
yeah, right. It's not on their radar to go, but if they're going to win a trip, they're going to absolutely love it and likely extend. And another one that we are selling a lot of is cruises. So cruises are very popular right now.
Very
You
cool.
can, yeah, very easy to get to, out of the ports of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, whatever, and still get a 5 day, 4 night all inclusive. So a lot of cruises coming in.
I've only been on one cruise in my life, but I feel like I would get so excited if that was my incentive travel trip. Speaking of getting
Absolutely. It's
excited,
everything.
I
Yeah.
would love to pick your brain on how to get travelers excited for their upcoming incentive travel trip if they have been invited to one. And I know PC Name Tag has done some really cool, collaborations with event planners of how to get people excited. So I wanted to talk about one cool thing that we've done for a recent customer is we've put together welcome packets for travelers. So it's a fun branded packet and has a welcome letter, get excited, congratulations on your trip. I think that adds like a fun, you know, piece of personalization to it. And then recently we've been doing a lot of bag tags for customers and for their attendees and travelers. So, to get people excited for their trip. Hey, here's this, custom cool bag tag that you can put on your luggage. And here's one for you. Here's one for your guest. Or if you want to, do something a little bit different, you could always put together a fun little kit for them with some gifts and giveaways in it. So I think you can have a lot of fun with it. And these are both things that PC Name Tag does. And I know you've had a lot of cool experiences with PC Name Tag and your incentive travel products as well.
Yes, absolutely. Love our partnership with PC Name Tag, by the way. We that is one of the best things that the planners love is to get the attendees excited. But we start even sooner than the winners. So we at Box we have technology that we can track the leaderboard so you can see
Ooh,
who's moving up and
fun.
down and who is close to winning, and it becomes very competitive. We put together promotional materials of the destination, of the resort, of the activities, all the things, and we send it to the home so that um, the guest can get excited and keep the partner motivated to earn the
Definitely.
incentive. So it goes up on the refrigerator and they come home from work and, hi, honey, how was your sales day? How close are we? Right?
Right. I love
S-
that.
so some proactive efforts too to just get the excitement building before the winners are even announced. It really has been impactful seeing that leaderboard change. It's pretty exciting. They're in sales. They're competitive, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
And
love leaderboards. I feel like it adds like fun gamification to it. And like you said, it creates a little bit of competition, friendly competition, but it just gets you more and more excited about this, opportunity to maybe go on this trip.
right. Yeah. And the custom luggage tags, those are just so cool because if when you all get to the destination and you see everybody and you're like, oh, they're with our group, they're with our group, and you don't know them, that's just a way to open up conversation. So super creative. I love that idea. Yeah, we do a lot of gifting in destination. I would say 90% of our gifting is in destination so that we are sourcing locally and giving back to the community. And then
Fun.
also they get to take a piece of the destination home with them. So we had a customer that had an incentive in Costa Rica and the awards were not your typical wood base with the gold top.
Mm.
They were custom engraved pieces of wood from the locals that they
Oh,
made them for the winners and at the award banquet. It was a huge hit.
that's so
So,
special. And I like that you get to keep a piece of your memories and that ties back in with that return on experience. What are the emotions someone is feeling when they look at that thing that put together as far as the trip?
right, it takes them back, right? And it takes them back to what they experienced, what they ate, what they felt, how they spent time, all the things, and makes them want to just be motivated to win the next year's trip. So,
Let's talk about cultural immersion because this is something that I'm hearing from attendees and planners. Do you often incorporate cultural elements in your trips, like getting people to experience the music of that culture, the food, city tours, different things like that?
absolutely. Uh, we at least put one local activity in, and if it's a walking foodie tour or, coffee grinding and you make your own coffee in Costa Rica, things like that.
Fun.
Yes,
You're getting me
very fun.
excited, and I'm not even going on a trip.
You're right. Yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
so important to if you're going to travel and really take in the culture of the destination that you're um, in conjunction with even like the local activities and the local music and things like that. We source all of that from the local community as well. So an awards ceremony will have, dancers on the stage that are local performers that are just so phenomenal at what they do. And then it's us giving back to the community again.
Definitely. I think food and music, at least for me, are big parts of cultural immersion for me. Those are the two things that I really think of when I think of a cultural experience. Like I went to this one conference last year and they had us taste different empanadas and they were real genuine, awesome, delicious empanadas. And, when I think back to the about all the food that I had at that conference, I was like, wow, it was so cool to be able to try something that is unique and handmade.
That's amazing. I love that. That's a great idea.
All right, Tina. I thought it might be fun if I could do some quick questions from our listeners that they submitted.
Great.
Maybe we can do a quick fire round of some questions.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So I've got 3 questions that we chose. Our first question is, what are the biggest logistical challenges planners face with planning incentive travel trips? I think this is interesting because what if you planned a trip and then all of a sudden the location has a natural disaster? How do we, work with different
Mm.
logistics like that?
Love this question from the listener. And it's a great question and a valid question and something that's very real, right? So this actually happened with us. We had a program scheduled for Jamaica, and when the
Mm,
hurricane hit in November, we had to relocate to Curacao. Uh, The That's always going to be a challenge. What I would say is it's critically important to have an emergency plan in place. You need to have a backup plan. You need to have a plan in destination for any emergencies that come up. We have a very comprehensive emergency plan that we work with the destination, the resort, the local law enforcement, to the obviously the customer, all the things. So really, really important. Um, to make sure that you have that in place to make sure your attendees are taken care of
hmm.
if something were to happen.
Lots of
And
moving
it does.
parts. Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. That's why it's so nice to have, companies like Fox World Travel to help you get through some of those things and help you think about those things.
Right. Right. Yeah, you need to leave it to the experts and I mean there have been many scenarios that I could share that we had a whole flight that was canceled. We had to charter a plane to get back from Hawaii.
Wow.
Just you don't know and you can't plan for it, so you have to have a contingency plan in
Yeah.
place.
So nice to have those partners. Thanks so much. All right, next listener question. Does sustainability ever come up during incentive travel planning conversations? For example, are clients concerned about reducing waste or making sustainable choices during their trip?
Yeah, I love this question too. I would say coming out of COVID, sustainability was a very hot topic, and it's still important, and we still hear about it, but it's not quite as prevalent as it was coming out of COVID. Now, that said, we do put in any sustainable efforts that we can, and our customers absolutely embrace that, and they come to us with ideas. We give them some recommendations. Uh, as things as easy as get a branded water jug and they can fill it up on
Nice.
property instead
Love that.
of providing bottles of water for them. Um, and then any of the meals that they do use the bamboo cutlery instead of the plastic cutlery. So little things like that make a big impact. So we absolutely have a lot of that. It is still top of mind. It's interesting to me that it's not as top of mind as it was coming right out of COVID, but I think coming out of COVID, people weren't traveling, so the carbon footprint went down, right?
Hmm.
And now we're kind of back at it, and so it's these little ones that we can still make an impact with.
I like that these are things that we're already doing. And if you can just do that little swap to, reusable bottles or, eco friendly cutlery or even eco friendly event badges, which we have a PC name tag, shameless shout out. Yeah, just, things that you're already implementing and just doing those little upgrades can really make a difference.
Right. Yeah, and get creative with it because it's fun. We had a customer that decided not to do centerpieces on the final
Mm.
dinner night, and instead they had a note card, and they said they took the money from the what they would have allocated to the flowers, and they donated it back to the community.
Lovely. I love that
So,
philanthropy part. So
right,
easy.
right, right, absolutely.
Lovely. Last question that we have from our listeners is it possible to plan a budget friendly incentive trip? If so, what are your recommendations?
Yes, of course, for sure. And I think the perception is that it isn't inexpensive, and it can be. It can be very budget friendly. The number one thing you need to have conversations with your provider about is your goal and what you want to take away from it. And then everything can be designed around that, and should be designed around that, quite honestly, so that your goals are met and what you are hoping to achieve will be achieved. We plan incentives for attendees from 20 up to 500 plus attendees.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
it really is just about having the conversation. If you don't have an incentive in place today and you're considering it, start small. Allow it to mature over the years, and it absolutely will.
Very cool. I think that's a great way to end our episode today. So, let's say that you're a company and you don't have an incentive travel program, but you want to get stakeholders on board to consider it. What are your recommendations to kind of get that rolling?
Ooh, this is a great question, Megan. It has to be the buy-in, right, from the corner office, and really you need to use the data. There's so much data out there that supports incentive travel and the return on investment, the return on experience,
All of it,
um,
yes.
all of it. So a lot of data, a lot of research. Your travel partner can provide those kinds of talking points, and lean on us. That's what we're here for, to help you get that across the finish line. Um, the data is very, very rich in this industry, and I don't think that we lean into it quite enough, like we should.
Agree.
So it's absolutely there to have the case be built.
Very cool. We covered so many awesome things, Tina. I had a lot of fun chatting with you, and I love that Fox World Travel is such a great resource. So if you want to learn more, make sure you connect with them and connect with Tina on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, thank you, Megan. It was so fun. I appreciate you having me on. I love to talk about this, and you've been wonderful. So thank you for your partnership with us as well.
Absolutely. Let us know what you think will be trending in incentive travel this year. What are some things that you want to see, or maybe some things that you don't want to see anymore? You can let us know in the comments.